Hello, my name's John. I'm the owner of Precision Steel Detailing. This can be my first video. My customer asked me to provide him a price on this project, to model it and detail it for him. So I already reviewed these drawings, but I'm going to go through what I'm seeing on this project, kind of give him a breakdown in this video. If he wants to watch it, he can. If you guys want to watch it, that'd be great. And kind of just show you what I'm thinking, show you some techniques that I plan on using on this, and I got 16 years experience detailing, so I've been doing this for a while, so just wanted to give you a little bit of background before I start. So this is an ad sign here that my customer is looking for fabrication drawings for. Got a pretty big post sitting on a pile, um, coming up here to a big horizontal tube that's going to carry all the framing for the ad sign. I'm going to start down here at the bottom at the anchor rods. Try to go through this relatively quickly. Um, just showing some things that I've seen on these drawings. We'll start at, like I said, at the base plate here. They want to, they revised this to anchor rods, and I was provided an extra drawing, which shows what they're looking for. And I noticed there's some missing information, like the base plate thickness. Um, This base plate's probably going to need vented for galvanizing. That's just side notes that I made. Need to determine the edge distance of these anchors. There's no real pattern shown. They're shown relatively centered, so I could probably use that. Center those. But looking at this now, I'm probably going to need to oversize these holes. Uh, just so this thing fits up in the field and provide plate washers. As typical for some anchor rods here. Also, they didn't provide any embedment for these anchors. I'll have to determine that. Another thing, say add shims here. There's no room for shims. But I think we need to add a grout bed. Some non-shrink ground, I guess. That's what you can see my note here. And I'll get into that now. On this view here, you can see that this post and horizontal line, they want it out of plumb. So basically, whenever this sign gets loaded with all the framing, it'll come back down. So this big horizontal tube here is horizontal again. And rather than build this into the fabrication, I think it'd be better to build it square, like it's shown on all these drawings, and then use that grout and the shims to kind of skew this base plate slightly. It won't be noticeable. It'll only be slight. But ultimately, that'll give us that offset that they're looking for, and then um, this vertical post will just deflect back to where it needs to be. I'll get in. So again, just we'll add some grout underneath this, and then shim it up to get the slope that we're looking for. Another thing that they have some HSS tubes here. This whole thing's going to be galvanized, so it's going to need cap plates and vented. Um, and then aluminum plugs after galv. That's something typically you should consider when anytime you got galv. Is, just looking to add vent holes and plug them back up with aluminum plugs after the galv. One big issue that I'm seeing on this is these cantilevers. This walkway that they have here is cantilevering out. It's about 8 feet. Um, you can see up here, these are like 8 feet span, so from here to here, that's about 8 feet. They got like an 8-foot cantilever, and there's nothing really supporting this. And I'll get into that more. And this kind of applies on both ends here. I don't like it. That's kind of the biggest issue that I see on this project here. There we go. So here's a look at that floor plan uh, for these grading planks. They got like an angle frame going around the perimeter here. And, weld these together some way, I guess the best way possible. But again, there's no support in this clouded area here at the end of these planks here. There's no support at these ends for these planks, so they're kind of just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. No, I'll show you these grading planks real quick. Flip over to these load tables. So this is just one of the planks. I haven't looked at all of them. But all the deflection for these based on the span is like a half inch, which is a lot. I didn't get in too deep to it yet, but I don't think it's what they're going to be looking for. So that's something, I don't know, that could be an issue here. Yeah, I think that deflection is more than what they're going to be looking for. But maybe not since it's just an ad sign, but I don't know. I'll have to look in to see what's acceptable with those for these grading planks and like a walking surface like this. Got a couple ladders here. This one's kind of hid, but a ladder here, one on each end. And then it's like mirrored to the other side. You got the same thing on the other side. There's like two sides to this ad sign, which makes sense. Got a yellow highlight showing where the handrail, where I think the handrail's gonna go here. So that's gonna need to be added in there. We got some safety gates. They're buyout, but I'll still need to coordinate that they work at the locations that they're requesting them, and make sure that there's holes in the handrail to basically accept the gates and make it for easy erection here. And then same with the ladders, just put them in, and then also make sure that, I don't know, you can transition easy onto these walkways. And I'm gonna lay this all out in the model if I get awarded the project, just basically checking everything, making sure everything works and everything's all tied together. keep going here. Try to make this video rather quick. Um, this is a base plate for the horizontal tube. You can see where that post comes up here. Here's that base plate that I was just referring to, and then the large horizontal tube. You're going to need to vent this thing. I show a large hole here, and that's not how I intend to vent it, because that's not really going to work, but it's just as a placeholder that I need to vent it for galvanizing. And I'm not sure about how I'm going to go about that yet, and again, I'll worry about that later if I get awarded the project. Again, with these plates are here. These this is a section view through that uh, this way. You can see section 1A section looking through. So this plate here is the one I just highlighted, and this is kind of creating a box between the base plate. You got a plate on either side. So again, there's going to need to be venting in these exterior plates for the galv to get in and out. And actually, now that I look at it, this is going to need venting as well to allow galv to pass through here. This plate here. No aluminum plugs, but this I just had a deleter just so to remind me about venting that plate. There's a small end plate here. I need to size and vent that thing. There's no information that I can see on the drawings for it, but that's not a big deal. I added some of these marks here. They're just the preps are shown wrong. Here's the view for that wall detail, and they were showing the preps on this bottom side too, but that's not what they're showing or what they want. So I just added these. If I get this project, I'll have a reference of which side I'm beveling and what I'm doing here. Let's continue on. They got some kind of deck or siding, metal sheeting here down at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's in our scope, but that's something that may need to be added. There's no detail shown for this. Well, no detail on the drawing for that call out there. These strips, I'm not sure who's providing these or what they're attached to. Well, I know what they're attached to. There's a metal panel here for the sign itself, but I'm not sure if we're providing these clips and if they're attached to the sign or if it's coming, somebody else is going to do that assembly. Continue on here. Again, the metal panel scope I'm not really sure about. And the same with the lights down here. There's lights that light up the sign. They call it a 2-inch diameter pipe, which we may be supplying. So I gotta coordinate this to see if we're supplying it. And there's some U-bolts that they want for this that I'll need to coordinate the holes for. That's about all I got for that one. And then same here, there's some scope issues. I don't think this is attached. I'm gonna delete that. But there's like a metal panel in here, and then this line here is like your vinyl sign. It's gonna loop up around this piece of metal, and then there's a ratchet strap in here that basically you torque it down to tighten the sign up. That's like how it's going to be attached. Um, as far as um, any of this material, I'm not sure if it's in our scope if we're supplying it, but I got a note on there just in case. Same here with this eye bolt scope. It's not a big deal. It's just I don't know anything. Anytime there's something in our scope, I like to. Well, even not in our scope, I like to take a look at it and just make sure it works with what we're doing. So there's no surprises on the project. That's that's all the main issues that I've seen on these drawings now. As far as what's out of place, potential issues that I could have. Um, but this thing isn't. I mean, it's not hard, but also it's not easy. There's not a lot of repetition in it. Everything's kind of different, and all the framing's kind of awkward. Um, Again, it's not difficult. It's just a little time consuming, and it's not very repetitive. There's a little more here than what meets the eye. I can go into that briefly. Just some things that you might not see. So here's all those light poles here that we need to coordinate. But again, that's not difficult. Everything's on a skew, so that's kind of a pain. But I mean, that's just like from a modeling standpoint. Once it's detailed, then it kind of is what it is. I'm mostly concerned about this deck though, and the cantilevers. Because I'm gonna have to do some research to get into that and see what's available. See if it makes sense to upsize these. How we can get them reduce that deflection and then like just supporting it overall. Like, cause this it looks unfinished of how they want to actually support this. It's not really thought out. Like they just got a big angle frame going around, but they haven't really put any effort into how they're going to weld these angles together at the corners um, to carry it in. Like this angle's cantilevering out 8 feet and then carrying this walking surface. I want to walk on that thing. Not that it wouldn't work, but I don't feel super confident in it. But again, it might work. It might work. I just got to look into it a little bit more and make sure that there's enough supports there that I feel confident. Yeah. But there is a lot of detail into this thing. Like we got these wide flanges that are like cut out at this radius that are going to be welded to the top of this large horizontal torque tube, they call it. And then all the plates and stiffeners at the base plates and stuff. And here's a better look at those. And then here's that beam here. Again, it's not that bad. It's just a little awkward. And here's some little plates that don't need to be added to support the walking surface. There's no callouts for them, but it's not a big deal. I just need to look into them a little bit more. Um, and also check to see how these things are going to be attached. Go back over here to these planks. I was looking at this plank. Um, like it's not like what they're showing in here is not what I'm seeing on the detail drawing I'll show you here in a second, because both these flanges are kind of facing towards each other. And then if we go back over here to the drawing, like this one's here, but then like this one looks like a full plank, but then they're doing something here, like this plate either gonna need to be bigger. Um, yeah, it's just gonna need to be bigger because this, like they're not showing the edges of the other side of this plank here, and then attachment. Like, they just gonna screw these down um, through the holes in the plank here. I need to determine that as well. It looks like there's I never did these before, but it looks like there's some holes for them to be bolted together through the sides. Um, and again, that's something I'll have to look into a little bit. But I can do that on my own. That's just again, I haven't used these planks before. I'm used to grading and stuff. I've only seen grading on these types of signs, but not a big deal. Um, that's going to need adjusted somewhat to get into that. See how that's going to attach. Here's another look at it. Again, the same. Yeah, there's a lot of little pieces on here, more than you might see or think of. Not super huge. It's not, like I said, it's not crazy. It's just a lot of little pieces, and they're all different. You get some diagonal bracing here. Kind of a custom connection here. That's not a big deal. Just a double bent plate. Yeah, so that's about it. That's what I'm seeing. I got a couple ladders. Not sure if I mentioned that. Got the ladders and then the gates. That I need to coordinate. I think I brought that up. This looks odd. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure about this detail here. I have to look at it a little bit more once I get it into model, but how they're supporting this ladder. Um, the ladder is not supported at the base. There's no details for it actually sitting on these grading planks. And there's nothing really for it to attach to either down here at the bottom. There's no support down there. So it kind of, I don't know, this detail kind of just seems awkward. You're hanging the ladder off there like that with just a couple bolts. Not saying it won't work. It just seems like, um, yeah, I just, I don't know. I'll have to see it in the model again to see if it looks like it's going to work or not. This one doesn't look bad. It looks like a decent detail. But again, I don't know what that cantilever out here with a cantilever and out. I mean, just in this one view, it seems like this angle's going to want to twist, but when it's attached at all the location that it's required, it might not be the case. But again, that's something that I'll go into a little bit more once I get the model totally completed here. There, you can see it there. Then here's the other ladder. But yeah, that's just a brief breakdown of what I'm seeing on this project. And yeah, I gotta basically tell my customer what I'm thinking for this project, and that's what I'm gonna get into now. But maybe I'll do that in a different video. What I'm thinking here. Well, I can guess I could throw it in here at the end. So kind of what I'm thinking is got to get the anchor bolts in here. I'll kind of break it down relatively quickly of what the process will be. Like, got to get the anchor rods in there. Um, get this whole thing modeled up. Get all the framing in here, all the connections. Get all the ladders, the railings. Um, I don't know if we spoke about the railing, but the railing's kind of like these highlighted areas that I have in here. So that's about the extent of those. Got to get all the connections done. Um, got to coordinate these ladders with like the walking surfaces and any buyout items. I got to coordinate into this as well. Determine the scope on the stuff. I got to get into these planks. Um, basically determine what we're doing with these planks. That would be pretty early on that I need to do that because I need to figure out what we're supporting and what we're actually using. So yeah, I gotta get all this connection material in here. Just kind of briefly going over, trying to build it up in my mind, thinking about how long it'll take me to get in here and get everything coordinated. Um, we got the anchor rods coming up here. We got these connections. There's not really much out here on this tube after. This is like the main harbor, and that's not a big deal. I mean, really this project isn't, but there's just a lot there. A lot of different little stuff that's not really shown on this drawing. I could probably get a rough layout of the material, like the main material, the main layout, maybe a day or so. Um, get it laid out at the proper elevations and spacing. One thing I noticed about that is like all these dimensions and stuff are coming off that metal panel that's going on the outside here. Like you can see the angle, but then there's like the metal panel, and that's kind of what they're dimensioning to. So I got a little note I'll kind of show you. Yeah, so this little 1 inch dimension, so everything's working off this line. So I don't have any like concrete um, like lines that the steel actually rests on. So basically, I'm gonna have to lay these panels out and then work back off of those to get to the locations of where all this stuff needs to be, because none of it's really located. Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna have to basically lay out those two lines and then work everything off of that in these section views to determine the edge of this walking surface, and then yeah, so that probably at least, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking somewhere around a week. No, actually probably over a week to get all the framing in there and connections. Get get everything coordinated, and then I got to do the walking surface like I keep talking about. Yeah, so that's, I hate to say like 2 weeks, but I mean, with that walking surface, um, that's a possibility. It could get hairy with trying to figure out how to support it and stuff. You got the ladders, all the connections for the ladders and stuff. So somewhere around 2 weeks. I don't think it'll take more than 2 weeks to get this thing all modeled up and get all the connections in. After that, I'll start creating the E drawings for this and kind of looking over everything that I modeled, make sure everything's in place. So I'll have the framing pretty much similar elevation view showing the framing in the elevation view, but then I'll have some sections cut showing the ladders attachment, and I'll have like a plank plan uh, that'll be separate. Just kind of clean up the drawings a little bit. Yeah, I'm just kind of going through here looking at what I'll need drawing wise. The e-drawings probably go like probably not a whole week on these e-drawings. Creating all the views and cleaning them up. Um, I expect it'll be less than that, but then we'll get into the details. And there's a couple ladders, then all this framing. Probably be about a week, I'm guessing, for all this. Uh, Detailing all the framing, maybe a little bit over. Um, yeah, I'll have to create the title blocks um, and the drawing notes and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about 4 weeks on this project to do it and actually coordinate all the buyout items and everything for it. Yeah, and then I mean I have to create the gather sheets as well for all the miscellaneous or the submaterial on this project, but that's not a big deal. I'll get that in there, and I got to put everything on sheets and release it for approval and for fabrication, and then provide all the fabrication documents, all the CNC, all the bolting information, all the reports that are like the point-to-point list, um, so my customer knows where all the bolts go. So that'll be all included in there. But still thinking about like 4 weeks for this project, even with all that stuff, the detailing, and then so just kind of brief breakdown of what I was just saying. So I'm thinking somewhere somewhere around maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks to get everything modeled and in there. Another week for the e-drawings. Somewhere probably less than a week, I'd say, on the e-drawings. But then for the detailing, the gather sheets, and all the fabrication releases, it'll probably be a little over a week on that. Um, and I'm just talking like standard 40-hour weeks here. But I can get it to the customer. Like I can work over and get it to the customer faster if he needs it to. So, like, and work on the weekends. So, I mean, I don't intend on charging him an hourly rate for that, even though I would technically be an overtime for those. Typically, I just charge him a flat rate, which kind of nice for them. I mean, they get the project a little bit sooner, and there's no like real premium with that extra time. So, and I'm sure he'd like it sooner, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about 4 weeks if I was working just 40. But in reality, I might be able to cut that in half somewhere in there. Probably like 2.5 weeks maybe. Two. I don't know. It all depends on how smooth this stuff goes. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. That's pretty much all I got on this video. So, um, yeah, I plan on recording more. If I get awarded the project, I might do some modeling in here and kind of point out some more things. I plan on doing more videos like this. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.